Just when we thought Victor Wembanyama was on the verge of taking over the league, disaster struck. On Thursday, the San Antonio Spurs dropped a bombshell. Their generational superstar is done for the season. And it's not just any injury. This one runs deeper than we initially thought. The Spurs confirmed that Wemby has been diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis, or DVT, in his right shoulder, an issue that could have serious long-term implications. While the team is optimistic about his recovery, there's no sugarcoating it. This changes everything. Not just for Wembanyama, not just for the Spurs, but for the entire NBA. Before this setback, Wemby wasn't just playing elite defense, he was redefining it. 3.8 blocks per game, insane. Add in 1.1 steals per contest. That's Defensive Player of the Year material. And he has 430 blocks in his career. And let's be real, his impact went far beyond the numbers. The moment he stepped onto the floor, opponents had to rethink their entire game plan. His presence alone altered shots, forced bad decisions, and shut down entire possessions. Now, here's where things get interesting. Thanks to the NBA's new 65-game rule, Wemby is officially ineligible for the DPOY award. That means the race just blew wide open. Guys like Bam Adebayo, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Anthony Davis now have a golden opportunity to claim the title. But let's be real, without Wemby in the conversation, does the award even carry the same weight? But this isn't just about one award. Wemby's injury could have a ripple effect across the entire league. How does this impact the Spurs' rebuilding timeline? What does it mean for their future roster moves? With Wembanyama sidelined, the door swings wide open for another player to step up and claim the Defensive Player of the Year award. And in today's NBA, that's not just a shiny trophy. It's a career-changing accolade that can unlock massive contract incentives and supermax extensions. Take Evan Mobley, for example. He's been knocking on the door of elite defensive status, but without Wemby in the mix, this could be his year to break through. If he dominates defensively, solidifies his case as the best shot blocker and rim protector in the league, that could mean millions added to his next deal. And it's not just him. Jaren Jackson Jr., Brook Lopez, and even perimeter defenders like Drew Holiday or Mikal Bridges could make their case. The Defensive Player of the Year race just became a battleground, and Wembanyama's absence is the catalyst. But for the Spurs, this injury is nothing short of a disaster. San Antonio had hopes of making a push for the play-in tournament, especially after trading for De'Aaron Fox at the deadline. Fox was supposed to bring the backcourt stability they desperately needed, giving the young squad a legitimate shot at competing in a stacked Western Conference. Now, those hopes are fading fast. Without Wemby, the Spurs not only lose their defensive anchor, but also have to rethink their immediate future. Do they keep fighting for wins? Or is it time to embrace another rebuilding year and set their sights on a top pick in the 2025 NBA draft? And here's where history gets eerie. Spurs fans remember all too well how David Robinson's injury in the mid-90s led to the team landing Tim Duncan in the 97 draft. Could history be repeating itself? Could this injury, as painful as it is now, actually set up the Spurs for another franchise-altering draft pick? The most immediate downside? This season is likely over for the Spurs. With Wemby out, the chances of making any sort of run in the brutal Western Conference are slim to none. San Antonio's young core has shown flashes, but without their 7 feet 4 inches generational talent, stacking enough wins in a short amount of time feels like a long shot. And beyond this season, there's a growing concern. 2 years into Wembanyama's NBA career, the Spurs still don't have much to show in the win column. Now, no one expected him to turn them into a title contender overnight, but back-to-back losing seasons aren't exactly the ideal start to a generational talent's career. How much longer will the losing continue before frustration starts creeping in? Wemby's diagnosis has raised alarms, especially when looking at the NBA's history with blood clot-related issues. We've seen how devastating this condition can be. Just ask Chris Bosh. A Hall of Fame level talent, Bosh had his career ripped away due to recurrent pulmonary embolisms, despite multiple attempts to return to the court. Brandon Ingram faced a similar scare in 2019 when he was diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis in his right arm. Fortunately, Ingram recovered and went on to win the Most Improved Player award the very next season. But for every success story, there's a cautionary tale. Medical professionals emphasize the urgency of early detection and treatment. According to Dr. John Hogg, a radiologist and founder of the Medical Vein Clinic in San Antonio, the sooner one is diagnosed and they start treatment, the better the outcomes are always going to be. and Wembanyama, thankfully, has reportedly received that early intervention. The statistics, though, are unsettling. The Cleveland Clinic reports that 1 to 3 out of every 1,000 adults in the US develop DVT, making it the third most common vascular disease after heart attacks and strokes. It's a condition that doesn't just impact careers. It can be life-threatening if not properly managed. And with Wemby being a generational talent standing at 7 feet 4 inches, his unique physiology makes him an even bigger anomaly in the medical world. As if Wembanyama's health concerns weren't enough, the Spurs were hit with another major blow. Longtime head coach Greg Popovich is expected to miss the remainder of the season after suffering a mild stroke in November. For a young team already struggling in the Western Conference, losing both their franchise cornerstone and their legendary leader is a nightmare scenario. Acting head coach Mitch Johnson has stepped up, but let's be real, nobody can truly replace Pop's presence on the sidelines. Popovich and Wemby have reportedly stayed in close contact throughout this ordeal, with the Hall of Fame coach offering guidance and reassurance to his young star. ESPN's Shams Charania recently reported, "From what I'm told, he is emotionally doing well. He and the Spurs are working through treatment options on how to move forward." But with Popovich out and Wembanyama sidelined, the Spurs find themselves in completely uncharted waters. NBA Twitter wasted no time reacting to the shocking news. Some fans, always looking for a silver lining, started joking about the Spurs potentially tanking their way into the Cooper Flagg sweepstakes. One viral tweet read, "All this pain just for you guys to go on another Tim Duncan run with Wemby. I wouldn't worry too much if I was a Spurs fan." Others were far more sympathetic. "Prayers up for a speedy recovery," one Clippers fan commented. The outpouring of support shows just how much Wembanyama already means to the league. But beyond just fan reactions, this situation raises bigger questions. How will the Spurs approach Wembanyama's recovery? Wembanyama's injury doesn't just shake up the Spurs, it shifts the entire NBA landscape. For one, the Defensive Player of the Year race is suddenly wide open. Wemby was already making a strong case for himself as a defensive force, unlike anything we've seen before. Now, someone else will have to step up and take that mantle. And let's not forget the bigger picture. Wemby is more than just an elite rim protector. He's the face of the Spurs' future, the most hyped prospect since LeBron James. His presence was supposed to signal a new era in the NBA, an era where a 7 foot 4 inch unicorn could dominate on both ends of the floor in ways we've never imagined. Now, all of that feels uncertain. The hope is that Wembanyama's early diagnosis and treatment mean he can return next season at full strength. If that happens, this could be nothing more than a small bump in the road toward a legendary career. But until then, the league moves forward without its most electrifying young defender, and the NBA's defensive hierarchy might be shifting sooner than we expected. And that's the reality of this shocking turn of events. Wembanyama's injury doesn't just change things for the Spurs, it changes the entire NBA landscape. What do you think? Will Wemby bounce back stronger next season, or is this the first sign of long-term concerns? And with the Defensive Player of the Year race wide open, who do you have taking the award now? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the latest NBA breakdowns. Until next time, stay locked in.